type of very sort of a small exercise gives these elements, or at least the feeling of these competencies to our students. So first of all, the communicator, when you're working in a group, you need to be able to listen what the others are saying. You need to have a capability of a problem solver, but also a critical thinker, like, is this the story we want to create? Or, okay, that's your idea, this is my idea, which one should we choose? And then do it together as a group. Of course, if we would take this like the next level, we could definitely use some computers to write the story, or even have more information from internet. So then there would be an aspect of even financial way. But definitely the innovator, and then self-directed learner, in a way that, okay, maybe the next step would be that I would even add more characters into your story, or new pictures, and then you would start developing it as a group or as individuals, depending now that who are you working together with.
But how can you encourage some introvert students? How can you push them a little bit more? Because it's a very good exercise to train them to give presentation, okay? Because if they get used to it, they will be familiar with this situation. But there are some introvert students.
Yeah, that's true. One thing, of course, could be that not to present it for the whole group. Maybe like, okay, you two group there, you can present with one another. Maybe the ones who are more shy could then feel like they have encouraged to discuss.
Well, I've been doing a little bit of looking into introverts and extroverts and how they act, and why they don't like opening up. And it's most likely because I consider myself a kind of introvert.
You?
Yeah. And it's simply because there was this, I think, a video on YouTube or somewhere else that introverted person doesn't really open up in situations. It's very stressful for them, where they don't see the outcome or what will happen if they talk about something that they're uncomfortable with talking about. And that's why when there are social interactions where they know how it will go and how it will flow, then they will be as energized as an extrovert and will appear as extroverts.
So this is just a question of practice?
Not just a question of practice, but a little bit of knowing how they will end up. So in a situation where an introvert doesn't know what kind of feedback they get from telling a story in front of the class, like they could be like no reaction, they could have a bad reaction from the class, that's when they don't want to do it. But in a situation where they know how it will happen, and this is what I see in many cases at university and even among teachers when I attend some of these trainings, that they tend to open up because they know that the environment is friendly and they will get a clap and positive feedback regardless of how their story goes or how their presentation ends up.
So it depends on the facilitator, the teacher, how to react, and
And
how to
also the
lead
group.
this attitude of the group.
Yes.
So the learning environment, what kind of learning environment can we create as a group, meaning teachers and the others, so that would support all the students and encourage them to say out loud, not even during the presentation, but all together participate? That would definitely help.
We have to very careful how to choose the students in one group. Maybe more introvert can be together, and some introvert can be extrovert in a special idea.
But mostly what I face here is that some introverted students get harsh criticism when they speak up, and they don't like that, and they even close up even more later on. So it's very difficult to set the situation, and usually the problem is that there's a class and we are one teacher among the 12 other teachers or 8 other teachers, and the group is the same in all the lessons. So if the group is not friendly enough or supportive enough to every student, then anything, even if the English environment, English lesson environment is accepting, they will not find acceptance on the maths lesson, or and then they will still close up. And this is usually what leads to being them introverted.
Yeah, that is easier when we have a classroom teacher who is present, not every lesson, but all the time, mostly all the time and all the subjects. So she or he can easily then see and be more like active creating the learning environment. Especially like in Finland, when we go to 7th grade, then they are only subject teachers. So the teacher is changing all the time, and if the classroom as such is not working, the one teacher cannot do that much, as you said, that it is affecting. Edith, you know.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that you might remember that when we had the online sessions, there was one chapter about this Cobb's learning cycle and the learning types. And there is also one thing, if we know about it and we can just see what's happening, then you can provide better support for the kids, because what if he is not speaking or she's not speaking loudly? The learning process has different steps where the learning happens. And even if there is someone introvert or a person, he or she might be also learning, and it's his or her own path of learning. But on Friday we will have a period during the day for not understanding but seeing how it's working in practice. So just keep your eyes and ears open, because we will analyze the 4 days.
So my question is, can we make somebody from introvert to a little bit more extrovert? Well, this is the main thing, because the 21st century skills that you have to market yourself. So the self-marketing is very, very important through your life. So, but I don't want to make more trouble if I'm not do this properly. You know what I mean? So it's very sensitive idea to let them out and just speak.
And I think very concrete things that we what I've done with my students, and I can see in a Finnish classroom, is that if there's a student who at least admitting to her himself and the teacher that, okay, I may not want to present, or I feel like uncomfortable, so it's okay with the class that the student can present it in her seat or his seat, not have to come here, or just give the assignment in writing. So again, this like very individual way of facing the student. But of course, when we go to the university, maybe already in high school and vocational school, because then you kind of need to be more active, and it's about your career and your learning. So how do we see the individuals? It is very much about the teacher, and also of course the resources that teachers has. Do we have time to have a discussions with all the students? Because when they are in lower grades, it's also the families, like I as a parent, I go to have a discussion with the teacher, and then we will sort of discuss together with my children and teacher that how are things doing, what should be done and support the kids in the classroom. And those are the elements that we discuss, whether this would help or that would help. And then when the students sort of grow up and they are in a higher education, then it's more up to them that are they willing to say that actually I would need more support on this, or can I do this differently? But yeah, not like, I would say that there is not one solution, but a very important issue to be noticed. And a little bit related to this, of course, also setting up the goals. So when we are going towards a project-based learning, it's very important that we share with our students that what are the like the minimum what we expect the students to do. And now this is very much related to assessment, that okay, this is a group work, I would like, or I need all of you to work active as a group, and then you would write sort of short individual reflects on yourself, what have you learned? Or this is the individual work, and these are the steps that you need to do. So everybody knows that this is something that they must achieve. So this is a requirement, and then whatever comes to extra, like should, nice to achieve, is something that you can sort of upgrade your numbers of the course. So this is a type, or at least I feel as a teacher and as a parent, and I'm looking at my children when they are studying at school, that I can sort of support them to do at least the minimum in order for them to learn and in order for them to get good grades. But if they are willing to learn more, I can support, okay, these are like the extra tasks that you could do. And this is the concrete stuff that we get from our teachers, that like for mathematics, please do the calculations from page 50 to 53, but if the kids would like to do more, then the page of 67 and to 70 are the extra ones. So we are kind of, all the time we know that the minimum, and then so that we can be aware and take a responsibility as a parent, which I found very important. Again, the triangle saying that who is responsible of the learning. So together, us and the teachers try to make sure, and then the older the students gets, of course, then we are trying to explain and showcase that they are the ones who own their own learning process. And that is something that starts already at the first grade, or actually even in kindergarten, that we are doing the self-reflection. And probably that is something that also mentioned in evaluation, but 6 years old are able to do this kind of, what have I learned? What should I learn more? How do I feel about learning? And now every time we have grades before the Christmas, and then in the springtime there is the teacher's evaluation, but also the self-evaluation, which is, at least I can see from my children, they are very happy that when they are doing their own evaluation, and then we are looking at the teachers, that they are kind of matching and they feel like they have been heard on that. I will show you one of the very practical case of not a project-based learning yet, but sort of towards a project-based learning. And this is a project with the students. This is a greenhouse. Probably I might have mentioned this one of the online workshops, but as I recall, I have not shared this with you. So one of the schools which are located in Jyväskylä, they have the greenhouse. So this is not very common that the school is owning the greenhouse, but the history is that this school building used to be vocational school and University of Applied Sciences, and it was a school of University of Applied Sciences where they were teaching the hospitality and catering. So that's why the greenhouse is still there. And every year they are doing the flowers, so that they start this kind of planting the flowers sometime in the winter, and then they are selling the flowers in late May for everyone who wish to come. And also they are planting the Christmas flowers. And it's usually, depending on each year, but the 5th or 6th graders are the most active in a greenhouse, and then the entrepreneurship study groups from 7th to 9th grade are kind of involving about the promoting the what they are wishing to sell, and then creating this kind of a sales event. So this is now from the 5th graders classroom. Maybe some notifications here. So this is a classroom with one teacher, but if you're looking the way that the kids are sitting, they're already sitting as a groups. So this is a very common way of the layout in a Finnish classroom, that you are kind of located in a group. So it's easy to then start working with the people close by to you. And usually in every sort of first Monday in every month, they are changing the seats. So it's not like that you're sitting with the same persons or doing the group work with the same students the whole year long. So this could be a very sort of practical way to start the lesson. The teacher is giving assignment for the students, and then they would find out.
How many boards did they have?
How many boys?
How many boards?
Boards.
Like chalkboards or whiteboards.
1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
at least 2 with the
On the left side.
with there, and then
So 2 canvases
So
and
each
Yeah.
group has got its own board.
that could be used as such. Yeah, yeah. And I would say that in this wall here there might be not the canvas like that, but some kind of other.
So they can use ICT just in time when they do the project work. So they don't have to wait each group to work.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. And of course then they could use different facilities, not just this.
So it's going to be very dynamic and very fast work to do it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very good.
And then what is like in old days, the desks that we had this kind of thing which opens. I'm sure whether you have had this, like, not even sure how it's called in Finland, where you open the desk and then you put your stuff in there. But nowadays they are these very normal tables, and then they have this like the gray cabinets there. So those are the places where the children have their stuff that they need to study. So here I just gathered the subject that are used. So now when I'm talking about the projects done related to the greenhouse, there was this one time when we were visiting a school, and it was a case where the teacher asked the students to kind of go outside, explore the nature, and then explore the greenhouse, and think about from the biology point of view that what is the role of the water, why water is needed when growing the flowers. The Finnish language, that's of course what the name of the flowers, if they are more familiar of the nature and the surroundings. With the arts point of view, how could we showcase this beauty, these colors? Could we do some drawings to that? Math, strongly related to biology of the amount of water, how many times in a day do we need to do the watering, who is doing the watering, and so on. And then of course the English, the same thing, the names of the flowers. And at a very simple level, this is now very close to the phenomenon-based learning, but there was no just one phenomenon here. It was more or less like, okay, we have the facilities, how could we use it with our groups? And this is now there are 2 teachers there. So now there's a classroom teacher and an English teacher. So they are collaborating together. The students, they have iPads. So the thing is that they were needed to go and take some photos from the surroundings and then use the greenhouse.
Sanna, the iPads are their own or it's used by the school?
They are from school.
From school.
Yeah. They are not sure whether they have like certain amounts each classroom, because it could be like that, or they could be like many in school and they just reserved.
Mm-hmm. And then one student, one iPad, or one iPad for 2 or 3, or like.
Again, I would here it was it looks like in this case it was one iPad for each of these students, but again depending on, it could be one iPad for one group.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It varies about the project that they're doing, or the assignment task.
a little bit more material question. Are they using specifically iPads or any kind of tablets in schools?
Good question. I would say that iPads plus any other. So it's not like it has to be an iPad, but maybe that was just.
Just because the school where I teach is, I think, well equipped with tablets, even though they are like 3 years old and they are getting bad, but we still have enough for one whole class. But they will deteriorate and probably break in a couple of years, I think. That's why I asked, because like you can buy at 10th the price you can buy a Lenovo tablet and an iPad.
Yes, yes. I would say that maybe the first batch might be an iPad when they were just buying few, and I think when they buy more. Again, this is each school. First of all, each municipality have and city have the budget for education. Then they will give the budget for each school, and the school can decide. Of course, some are the main cost that needs to be, and then there's like the extra elements. Do we buy more tablets, or do we buy some sports equipments? Should we buy something for the classrooms? And then they kind of decide, and it's very much about that.
It's always the school who decides?
Yes, yes. The board, the school board, or sometimes even the teachers get to vote. But mainly the school boards are looking at the budget and saying like, okay, now, for example, we are missing the footballs, and we have had these for 6 years and they are not doing it. Yeah, all broke. So, but this is the one we are getting money for. But in the city level, they have like a budget, and then it comes to the school, and there's not that much extra. So that don't think that there's like a huge budget for.
You want to see them then you are rich.
Yeah. But the little they have, of course, then they need to decide how to use it.
And how does the city decide which school, how much money receives?
It's almost equal. It is according to how many students, and of course then there are schools like now this school is the one with they have the special education groups, and then they have probably the most the sort of the more learning assistants than any other school in the area. They have 22 learning assistants in the school, and compared to the similar school outside, sort of 1-2 kilometers away, they had, if I remember it right, like 9. So the main difference between this school is they have these very many special things inside the school and special education groups, but also that they have learning assistants with the normal groups. And I think this greenhouse is one example that they could have said that, okay, we don't do the greenhouse anymore, and we don't use any efforts into that, but they wanted to continue it, and that's why they are now integrating everything that is happening in the greenhouse into the teaching. And like these, all the flowers, these are really made or like planted by the students. Of course, help with the teachers, but like it's really hands-on what they do in there.
And do the schools have freedom or opportunities to put up money for themselves? Like, for example, these flowers are probably bought by the public.
Yeah.
And so the school can use that money
Yes,
for
yes.
their own purposes.
Yes, yeah, that's money is for the school, and of course it's usually goes by running the greenhouse and then buying some new stuff that is needed.